Fine. So today's session will just try to understand enterprise structure. So when you talk about enterprise, say the client is operating the business in USA and the client is operating the business, and if you take example, okay, fine, we'll go with this USA, and they have a one registration and they are operating the business in 4 locations. For example, I'm taking, there are many case scenarios which you can take. I'll go with this. If you have any questions we can discuss. It's a very much known information for most of the guys. If you know EBS, definitely this is known information, known concept. So if you look at this case and say they have a warehouses, okay, warehouses in 5 locations. So client is operating the business in USA and they have only one registration, and they're operating the business in, sorry, they have only one registration. They're operating the business in the 4 locations, and they have a 5 warehouses. In 5 locations they have warehouses. So if by looking at this information, how we can map this into the system in case of EBS. In case of EBS, how many business groups we have to create? By looking at this information, we don't need to go with too much of information. I'm taking the simple example. By looking at this information, you tell me how how many business groups you have to create. EBS we are talking about. EBS, that too.
One business group.
When I talk about 11,
One business.
different.
Only one
Only
business.
one business group. You may create, if you take the client name as XYZ USA business group, which you call as BZ in short. Done. Why only one business group? What is the purpose of business group?
Employees.
Yeah, to maintain the employees. So it's you can have a business group concept to maintain your employees. That is pattern specific, where policy specification will come into the picture. Even we have an alternative solution. I think somebody is unmuted. Alternative options also, where even if you are running the business, client is running the business in 10 countries. For 10 countries also you can have a one business group. Within that business group environment, country wise organization definition, HR organizations, the payroll organization definitions can be done, which is that solution can be done by HRMS consultants in case of EBS, right? So ideally, like, it's as a good practice, you can have a country wise business group so that you can maintain the employees country wise. Done. So client has a only one registration to run that operations in the 4 locations, which are supported by 4 warehouses or without warehouses, whatever the case you can take. So if they have one registration to run the business in the USA, what we have to, this information, how to map in the EBS financials, R12. The registration information, how you can capture into the system, how you can map into the system. Legal entity. So client is who has a registration? XYZ USA legal entity. Registration will be mapping into system with the concept called as legal entity. We know very well. So client is running the business in the 4 locations. Okay, there are many things we consider when you decide some element, when some kind of multi-org definitions. But here, by looking at this example, you can tell me if they are operating the business in 4 locations, if the requirement is location wise, they want to prepare the reports, they want to set a control on the transaction process and the data security. So how you bring that 4 locations operations into system in case of EBS system? How you bring in?
4
operating units.
That's it, 4 operating units. So to decide the operating units, there are many things which you have to consider, but high level, since we know we are just going with very high level. So 4 operating units we have to create, because they are operating the business in 4 locations. By treating those as a different units to manage the information separately from one to other, and to have a security between those units data, and to facilitate the reporting between those events, and to have a more control on the process which those locations do business as a different units. So we have to bring that into the system as a operating in 4 operating units. And as we discussed here,
if they belong to the same business, then we don't need to create operating unit. We can create one operating unit and inventory organization.
No. You did any solution for any client?
Yes, Lakshman, 18 of them.
Yeah, Pankaj, see, what you are saying, they are running the business in the 4 locations. How you can segregate that business information location wise?
You can do by inventory organization. If it's, let's say it's
100% wrong. We'll discuss in the end of the session. Okay.
Pankaj, we could say in different ways. So we want a data security by transaction. We get to go for OUs. When we are saying 4 locations, there are much more to that, just not the physical location.
Yes, exactly. So if it's just physical location, then you don't need operating unit.
Right. Lakshman actually mentioned that in the beginning, transaction controls. And
this is what I already pointed. Okay, just ideally we don't go with this concept only. Say they're running the business in the 4 locations, and say if you take the locations as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they're running the business in 4 locations, but their concern is they don't worry about the data security between 1 and 2 location, and they don't worry about transaction control process, how it should work in between 1 and 2, and they don't worry about separate reporting between 1 and 2. In that case, for 1 and 2 you can have 1 operating unit also, right? For 3 separate, 4 separate, total in that case we'll get 3 operating units only. There are many scenarios which will come into the picture as a criteria to decide how many operators required. Here I just given the example 4 locations, and this is what they're expecting from each locations of business. They want transaction control separately, or data security they want to have separately, and reporting they want to do separately. If this is a requirement, generally these are the reasons why we differentiate, why we create the operating unit separately. Okay, if you have, this is a very generic thing which we know in EBS. Still, if you have any questions, we'll discuss in the end of the session, who are not aware of on what base we decide legal BU operating units.
Lakshman, your voice is breaking this time. Please.
Oh yes, yes. 1 second.
Yeah, Lakshman, it's cracking up.
Okay, that's all about operating units, how we decide. When we talk about 5 warehouses, we'll create the actual 5 warehouses, including one more warehouse called as virtual inventory. Okay, right? We create, if you have a 5 warehouses, if client has 5 warehouses, we'll create 6 warehouses. Sorry. Okay, 6 warehouses will create. 5 are physical, which client has. The 1 is virtual, which requires for item definition. We know very well that point. Done.
So in the multi-org term, you're saying 6 inventory orgs, right?
Yes, exactly. You are clear on that, right? Why 6?
Yeah, that's fine. Just an example, right? So, okay, yeah. Operating units, warehouses, legal entity. Yep.
There is a reason, right? When client has a 5 warehouses, we'll create in the system 6. 5.
Master, are you talking?
Good.
5 really what client has. The 6th one is the virtual one, which is required as per our application. Okay, which allows us to create the items. Items can be created only in virtual.
Item master.
Right? That way I can assign. This we know.
The master item, right?
Yes, master inventory organization to create the master item. Yes.
Thanks. I was about to say that. Thanks.
Yeah, correct.
Lakshman, you normally define one for if you have a corporate office location for that also, even if it is not a warehouse, for your service items, service receipts.
Sorry?
I was saying that if you have 4 warehouses and a corporate office, you define one for your office location also for supplies and all receipts to create POs. So ideally, it's number of warehouses plus 2.
Pankaj, yeah, there are many other points. There are many other points. We are not starting from the ground to understand this point. The assumption is people knows. If you want to talk about corporate office, reality say the 4 locations doesn't have inventory organization. Reality, what you will do? What you will do?
Those are HR organizations.
No.
HR locations.
No. Let me ask this question, Pankaj. Pankaj say we have a 4 locations. Okay.
Yeah.
So we and 2 locations doesn't have any operating unit. Say they are dealing with the services. In that case, how we do the setups? Do you think for each inventory organization operating unit setup inventory is mandatory or optional?
It's optional. It's not mandatory.
That's it. That means you don't know complete stuff. Okay, we'll discuss in the end of the session. Please don't take in the other way. Your answer is absolutely wrong. Okay, you know some idea. That's it. Okay, we'll discuss in the end of the session. Fine. Inventory specific.
I have a question. How about item validation org, or is that something we are going to discuss later?
Item validation org is nothing but just normally item master organization, and for which operating unit is dealing with which inventory is supporting. Accordingly, we have to do the mapping.
But item validation org, is that usually not different from the master org?
So see that can be ideally that is your physical inventory. Depending on the setups, which access, how many items you want to give the access, accordingly you can choose it. You can select item master or you can select actual also. Anything it will allow you. Any inventory organization can act as a item validation organization. The reality when users access the items from the specific operating unit, always we map with the physical inventory, actual inventory, not item master. When you give the access to item master, okay, all the items provision the operating unit will get. Ideally, we do physical inventory mapping to specific operating unit through item master, item validation organization.
Are you saying the item validation org is same as the actual physical inventory org?
You can treat item master or the physical inventory as item validation organization. That is completely, it's all about which in items access you want to give. Say item validation inventory item master you created, you have 100 items within that. You have to create one inventory 1. Within that you assigned only 10 items. Now from the specific inventory organization, the user need access to 100 items or 10 items. The 10 items means reality that inventory only the specific operating unit will have access, not to all the definitions which you have in your organization. Okay, that is connected to specific inventory, right? So you'll assign the actual inventory only, physical inventory only to specific operating unit through setups by selecting the field value called as item validation organization as your physical inventory. Okay, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fine. These are EBS fundamentals things. Okay.
Yeah, but I have seen them to be different from the master org as well as the physical org.
Sorry, you see? What is that? Yeah, please, just you raise that point. We can talk on that. No issues. What did you see?
Oh yeah, I've seen the item validation org to be different from the actual physical org as well as the.
That's what I said. See, item validation organization. What it will do? It will give the access to
list of available items.
Operating unit. Okay, it will give the access to your operating. It will give the which access? Item access. You have a inventory 1 and inventory 2, inventory 3. In this, you have an item master. Within this, you created 100 items. From 100, you assigned 10 items to this, 60 items to this inventory, again 50 items to this. Can you assign or not in this way? First question. You have only 100 items, but here 3 inventories we have. I'm just taking the example. 120 items I assigned. For this 10, for this 60, for this 3. Can we assign? You have only 100 number.
You can,
Yeah, you
you
can.
can certainly assign.
You can. Reason, because one item can be assigned to multiple inventory organizations. Okay,
Right.
right? Now you have OU1. For OU1 is supported by inventory 1. So now what we'll do? By using item validation parameter, okay, we assign this item to this. And you take the scenario, so you are dealing, say you are just selling some iPhones. So in all the stores, you deal with the same item. So you assign, I'm sorry here I taken the simple example as number. I should not take the number item, iPhone, because that is just maintained differently, right? So that is specific to inventory based on the transactions, iPhone. So this iPhone you assign to 3 stores. Okay, you assign to these 3 stores. Assign to 3 stores. After assigning to 3 stores, 3 inventory organizations. Okay, so I'll take simple example. So you have iPhone and Samsung. So in that case, what you could do is, in this store you have only iPhones. The quantity is wrong, just specification I just taken for discussion. We never deal with directly the quantity, right? It's item assignment. Here you have iPhone and Samsung, and here only Samsung. So your operating unit is doing which operations? Like you have a operating unit 1 when you are just doing the transaction from that operating unit. So you need access to which items? You need access to which items? So this this operating unit, to support this operating unit, you have inventory 2. In that case, only inventory 2 will assign to that. Inventory 2 only, because OU1 is dealing with both iPhone and Samsung. So if it is dealing with only iPhone, okay, in that case we'll have an inventory organization accordingly, right? So that only that will be assigning. Otherwise your requirement is you want to have access to items to all. Okay, some ABC phone. Okay, iPhone, Samsung, ABC. So these 3 inventory organizations have access to only 2 items, but you need access to all the items to this operating unit. In that case, just you can assign this to this, but reality we don't do that. So it has to be mapped with the physical inventory, not virtual inventory. This is just for item definitions. You can create 1 or 1,000 items. So those items are required in which inventories we just do the mapping. Otherwise, if you start creating here for inventory 1, I have to create, say for example, iPhone. Again here I have to repeat the same. In the overall system it's a duplication. To avoid the duplication and to maintain the items, so we have a concept called as item master organization, which is used for just item definitions. We never do the transaction with item master organization. We never update any quantities. The transactions will happen in respect to inventory, and quantity updates also will happen within the inventory. This is just for item definition. So you are doing the real transactions, yes, then assign the real inventory only, not item master. Item master is just reality, virtual, just you can say dummy. It's not reality. You don't see in the business. When you don't see in the reality in the business, how you can assign to that? This is just for item definition. Once you create item, those will be assigning to the inventories. Those real inventories will assign to your real operating unit, real operations. That's how it works. This is what we know. So that's all about warehouses. So client is operating the business in only one country, say USA. So 1 BZ normally we go with. 1 registration, say 1 legal entity. 4 locations by default, ideally 4 operating units. There are many scenarios which will decide to change that number. Some client says, yes, I'm running the business in 4 locations, but I want to go with only one operating unit. In that case, we'll ask some questions. Okay, fine, you can go with the one operating unit, but these things will be missing. Oh, I don't have an issue with that. But I want to segregate the transactions belongs to which location, but operating unit I need one. In that case, what we'll do? We'll have 4 balance and segment values for 4 locations. We'll just go with one operating unit only. That is a scenario how you can manage this solution with one operating unit. 1 OU, 4 BUs, balance and segment values. So that's how we have many just business cases, like how we can provide the solution depending on the client business, how they are running the business. Okay, right. So this is how we have the system point of view. Okay, the system point of view, if you want to, this is a reality or mapping into system, how they have according to your mapping. In system point of view, within the system, if you want to do any transactions at BG specific, and you say HR and payroll related specific and legal reporting, or the real business transactions, the real day-to-day business transaction will record in the operating unit level only. This is the very primary entity, I mean primary enterprise organization unit where real business transaction takes place. To record the transactions operating unit level, to record the transactions warehouse level. Okay, this warehouses how we'll bring into the system as inventory organizations. Okay, 6 inventory organizations, including 1 virtual. Because reality, we don't need to discuss this EBS multi-org structure, because we are going to talk about Fusion Enterprise structure. That is the reason I'm introducing. The guys who knows this very well, please just wait for a few minutes. We'll jump into that. Done. So to record the transactions any level, so what we need in the system in case of EBS R12, primary ledger. In case of 11i set-top box, SOB, right here, XYZ USA primary ledger, sorry, primary ledger, which we call as PL. So this is a standard hierarchy which Oracle designed and which we are aware of. Okay, sorry. So on top level we'll have a business group. Under business group will have a primary ledger. Under primary ledger will have a legal entities. Under legal entities will have a operating units. Under operating units will have inventory organization. Please don't mute to ask the question after some time. So I'm speaking, let me complete, then you can unmute and you can raise your question. Otherwise it's all the time we have to record the background noise also. Please. Fine, done. This is a multi-org structure in EBS. This we no need to learn it. Multi-org structure. Multi-org means multiple organizations structure. Multi-org structure. So BZ under BZ, primary ledger and primary ledger, LEs under LEs, operating units under operating units, inventory organization. Depending on, like, you may under one BZ you can have multiple primary ledgers. Under each primary ledger you can have one or multiple legal entities. Under one or multiple legal entities you can have one or multiple operating units. For each operating unit you have one or multiple inventory organization. This is how we can have a organization structure. This is how we can bring the client business, how they are operating the business, that you can bring into the system. Okay, with this multi-org structure, logically we are segregating the client data, employees data, the entire organization data we classify into employees and that is books of information and registration information, day-to-day transaction information, stock information. Employees information will bring into the system with the concept called as business group. Employees accounting information will bring into the system with the concept called as ledger. And employees company registration information will bring into the system as a legal entity. The business transactions, the business to manage the client business day-to-day business transactions in the system will just create the operating units, and to maintain the stock or item or the relevant transactions that will just bring into the system as inventory. It's all about the specific client business data. The client business data we are classifying into employees data, accounting data, registration information, and the business transactions data and item stock data. That's how we classify the classifications we are bringing into the system as a BZ, primary ledger, business group, primary ledger, legal entity, operating unit, and inventory organizations. This is how we do the solution in case of EBS R12. In case of 11i, instead of primary ledger, we have a component called as set of book, SOB, inventory organization. So this is what we know very well. The same structure. So when we are doing the implementation in EBS, this is a hierarchy we follow, and this is how we just do the mapping, business mapping into the system as a multi-org structure. So the similar mapping, if you want to do the employees information, accounting, registration, business unit, business transactions, item information. In case of Fusion, what we do? Okay, in Fusion, more or less similarly we do the configuration, but there are small changes, naming conventions, and few other points we have to understand. We'll see that. Fine. So in EBS, we are calling as multi-org structure, right? EBS R12. EBS R12, what are the organization structure we create that we call as multi-org structure? So these are the primary elements. These are the elements will decide to have a data segregation with the different names, whatever we taken, whatever Oracle name. Okay, done. That's a naming convention we are using. So that means this data logically we are segregating and maintaining with the relation, and which will enable the data process across those modules. We know very well which level, which modules we can map. BZ level we map HRMS applications, primary ledger we map general ledger application, and LE level we map cash management, and of course in GL level we map primary ledger level we map GL and FA also, and LE level we map cash management, operating unit level many modules, the actual business transactions where it takes place, which involves the it's all about suppliers, customer, or core financial transactions, or supply chain management, or other operation specific. I mean to say operating unit specific, or branch specific, or unit specific, or specific LOB, line of business specific. If you are going to even line of business also, you can take as an operating unit. That totally depends how they need the solution. So all the applications, say AP, AR, purchasing, order management, and project costing, project billing, there are many other applications which we map at operating unit level. So those all, and items. So inventory organization level, primarily we map inventory applications, BOM, WIP, which are managed at inventory level. All will do the mapping, that we know very well now. So this segregation, how you can manage in the Fusion applications. In Fusion applications, if you are going to create this kind of environment, which will help us to segregate data and to maintain more secure manner, which can be provisioned through certain setups, and where data can flow within the hierarchical manner, we have a concept called as equal to multi-org in EBS and Fusion. So we don't need to talk about Fusion and Fusion Cloud. Fusion is the product that can be cloud through cloud. You can use it, or else directly you can as a Fusion product. In Fusion applications, okay, we have the same, instead of calling it as multi-org structure, we are calling it as, Oracle is named it as enterprise structure. There's no difference. Organization, enterprise, both are same. It's just terms. So large scale, you may not normally say anything, small, mid size, or large, anything you can call as enterprise, right? Instead of using that, the organization, they are using very rich word called as enterprise. That's it. So instead of calling as multi-org structure in the Fusion, we are calling the same as enterprise structure. When you look at these and organization units, these are different units within the organization. These are the different entities you can call. So entity is the one which will be pointing to specific data which is related to business. Okay, that is a simple point we can understand. The same multi-org structure in the Fusion we are calling as enterprise structure. And to maintain this inventory related information, okay, to maintain this inventory related information, okay, what we have in the Fusion, we have same inventory organization only. We create inventory organization only. Fine. So we create inventory organization only. So as it is, to maintain the stock, to maintain the item creation or item maintenance, use inventory organization in case of EBS application. The same logic we have here, but when we talk about how to do the setups and all, they changed. When we work on P2P cycle, we'll talk on those points, which application they replaced with inventory, how the functionality works, what are the changes and all. So everything we'll try to understand. Okay, fine. Next element is, and I'm not coming from top, I'm just coming from bottom. Okay, finally we'll understand the actual required top points. Okay, so the next element here is unit is operating unit. The operating unit concept. So with the operating unit, what we can do, we can just create, maintain, we can record and you can process the business transactions, which will be normally specific to departments, finance, I mean payables department, receivables department, some other purchasing department, sales department. So for each department we have a separate application. So on those application level, to manage the, to record and to process the transactions, we use operating unit in EBS. The same operating unit, we are operating means where we operate the businesses, that we map the, what are the business transactions, what are the business we operate, the result what we get, transactions only, those will maintain within the operating unit. So the same, the term they changed from operating unit to business unit. Operating means doing the business, so they named it as business unit, BU we call. It's a simple point. They changed the naming convention. What else they changed with respect to this change, we'll discuss in the application, that we no need to start discussing now to get a confusion. Done. Simple point when you talk about Fusion Enterprise Structure. So in case of EBS, we have operating unit. The same operating unit concept, instead of taking as operating unit into Fusion, they take in as a business unit. Okay. So this term they taken from PeopleSoft. So the terminologies they taken from the different products. Okay. Even we deployed our flex field. That deployment, the term, it's compiled earlier we are using, they changed the name, that generally that term is used in the PeopleSoft, and there are a few other terms they taken from the JD Edwards. But those we can understand. It's all about synonym of that word. Done. Legal entities, how they taken as these. The legal entity they taken into Fusion as a legal entity only, but more or less you see the display name as legal employer. So yes, legal employer can be addressed by legal entity. Legal entity can be defined with a registration information. Okay, that means legal entities are remain as a legal entities. They didn't change the naming convention. So in Fusion you can see legal entity. Done. LE. Fine. What about primary ledger? Yes, we have ASTIS. When they are moving from 11i to R12, they change the name from SETA books to, right? In EBS, we know this point very well. In EBS 11i version, the entire structure remains same, right? So everything remains same. This name only they changed, right? This name is different. And slightly they changed here the relation wise also, LEOU, how it connect. Okay, that we don't need to discuss here. So in EBS, this is how we have EBS 11i. This is how we have when they are moving from 11i to release 12. Only the name they changed, setup book name they changed as a primary ledger. Now when they are just moving from 11i R12 to Fusion, they taken the name ASTIS. Still you could see here as a primary ledger. which is where you can maintain all your accounts to capture the business transactions, where you can maintain all your periods, currency, specification as default, and accounting GL accounts. All here you can manage. We know that. So primary ledger remain as a primary ledger. And when it comes to business unit, you don't see the term called as business unit in the Fusion applications. Okay, we don't see the business unit. So what is the purpose of business unit? To hold the employees information. Normally we maintain the BUs, BZs, country specific, or else we can design the solution where company can have one BZ for their multiple business country operations also. That means multiple countries employees information can be managed within the umbrella of one BZ. How you can BZ you can have, say if in case of if you are running the client is running the business in 10 countries, in that case you can give the name as XYZ business unit, not specific US or India. So within the business group, as a part of HRMS solution in EBS, we can create country specific organizations. That's how you can maintain country specific employees information. So that's alternative of doing the solution. If you have multiple countries of business, you can do BZ for each country separately, or else for multiple countries you can have one BZ. Under that you can have a logical segregation of employee maintenance. Anyway, that is not piece of our job. That should be done by HRMS consultants in terms of deciding and designing the employee model, employee maintenance, and other things. Okay, here we'll go with this is a very generic thing. Okay, XYZ USA business unit, business group. And in Fusion, you don't see the term called as business group. Here, at the top of all these units, objects, you see enterprise. So enterprise. In case of multi-org structure and top level, you can see business group. In case of Fusion structure, Fusion enterprise structure. Okay, here multi-org structure, here Fusion enterprise structure. So within the enterprise on the top level, you could see enterprise. So enterprise level, what you could do is you can manage, you can set up some in EBS HRMS in Fusion, we are calling it as HCM. Okay, here we'll manage a complete employment related information through HRMS, right? Employee, payroll, absence, time and labor, etc., etc. All will manage through HRMS solution. We have set of modules. The same way, equal to that, in EBS HRMS we have in Fusion, they take a product called as HCM from PeopleSoft. In PeopleSoft, same HRM solution, the name is HCM, Human Capital Management. So to run the show within the HCM, what are the defaults you require that you have to specify at enterprise level? Okay, these you have to set it as enterprise level. This is a global setup. In the instance is a global setup. In case of fresh instance, okay, so when we are going to work on your production instance, how many enterprises you can create? Only one, which will be pointing, which says which client is using that enterprise. For which client we are doing the implementation. It doesn't refer for how many countries we are doing the implementation. So we are doing the implementation for client called as GE. The enterprise name will be GE, that's all. As a part of HCM, you will design the solution how to maintain the country specific employee, payroll, all that other definitions and classifications and security, etc., etc. Enterprise level just will set this instance, this pod we are using to do the implementation for which client, and again the HCM related, the global settings will do. The employment model, how employee number need to be generated, that you can set for entire instance level, and depending on your requirement, when you do the country specific setups, that you can override. Okay, here enterprise means it's all about pointing the client to capture the client information and setting some controls and defaults which will impact or which will enables HCM business process. it won't impact on any one of our financial elements. When you say finance, we should address the three, right? So it won't impact anything on this. You no need to decide what to set, how to set as an enterprise definition. You don't need to decide on that. And one more point is, we know very well in case of EBS, we can see default business group in fresh instance. You may edit that name and you can proceed with the further definition, or else you can ignore that name and you can create the new business group in case of EBS R12 or 11i. But in the Fusion, you will get default enterprise. You can change the name and you can set the controls and defaults which enables HCM process which are not related to finance. You cannot create new enterprise. In the fresh instance also, you'll get the default enterprise as a part of production instance, fresh instance. Then you can start working on it. The enterprise level settings can be changed by HCM consultant. If you are not implementing HCM as a part of your implementation, and if you are going to implement only financials, you no need to go and touch anything at the level of enterprise definition, which is predefined. You may do some changes. That is nothing but changing default enterprise name to your client name. Other than that, nothing else you have to do as a part of by having a role called as financials consultant or a CM consultant or projects consultant. Okay, I mean to say projects means PPM we call here, project portfolio management. The complete EBS project suite set of modules here, just they named it as a PPM, project portfolio management. The project execution management and financial management, both they combined and they given as a PPM, project portfolio management. So these are the points we have to understand when you compare with that. Okay, by comparing, this is what we are trying to understand. So business group, okay, it's not business. We can say enterprise is more or less equal to business group. Yes. Here, this what purpose we are using to manage the employees and to set up the employees related, the HRMS related, some default information. If you remember, when you define the business group, you said business group info, how employee number need to be generated, how contingent number need to be generated, how applicant number need to be generated, and what is your what are the flexible structures you are using for people, grade, position, competence, costing, all what structures you are using, and that is belongs to which country and which territory and which currency, and what are the minimum age, maximum age for the employees who will work in that business group. That all the defaults will set based on the defaults only within that HRMS. The rest of show will run with that controls only. The same way, similar setup you can do at enterprise level, which enables HCM process, which defines HCM process. So this is the point we have to understand. When you compare with this is what we have to understand. We have one more element to include within this enterprise structure as a part of Fusion. We'll talk on this after taking your questions. Any questions here, please?
So why the fixed assets are at enterprise structure?
Sorry?
Why the fixed asset is in the enterprise level, like where people level? That was one of the questions.
Who said? Do you think in I mean, I didn't say that statement. From where?
No, you didn't say. No, I'm asking because I know assets are at the enterprise level. Do you have any idea?
You just in EBS, what level you have assets? Tell me.
So that's the thing. As per my knowledge, it is in the business group level.
Okay, as per your knowledge, as per Oracle, okay, what Oracle says and what we do is assets are managed at primary ledger level.
Okay.
We map FA with GL, primary ledger. It's not module say similar to OU. It's not OU specific module. If you look at the background, the product they acquired from CR Atlanta long back. Okay, it's not developed by Oracle. They taken the solution, they just taken into as a part of EBS. That's how they are running the show. Okay, so The APR, OM, PO, costing, billing, all will run at OU level, but your what I could say, your assets will run at primary ledger level. What is the reason? What reason you can guess why Oracle given like that, or somebody who built that product, say Sierra Atlanta, long back?
It's
Okay, why
it's
they
been always the same, right?
sorry?
It's been always the same. It's been always the same
What?
at the ledger level, primary ledger level, fixed assets.
Where?
Even in the 11i, in the 11i,
11i also
it's
same.
at the
Yes,
setup box.
11i.
Same thing.
No, 11i, R12, even Fusion also same. Okay.
Because it has its own set of books, right?
Yeah. Here it will have setup book level. Here it will have primary ledger. Here also. But just since we are talking about that, what reason you can guess why Oracle given, or why we have in Oracle that FA at primary ledger level, why we have APR, PO, OM, and other in the OU level?
Because
Yes.
it has its own books and
No.
it has own
Books,
own
correct.
books.
Own books. Everybody will have own books and all. There is some business reason.
Yeah, the subledgers are like ARAP and projects that is an OU basically
No, that
for
is
data
the point we are
security.
discussing. That is the point we are discussing. Why I am asking? Why they just move to primary ledger level? Why they cannot keep at operating at level?
Yeah, that was my question. So there I wanted to
Okay,
clarify.
fine. Any guess on that then? Others?
Assets are always
Segregation of data.
One, please.
Yeah.
Anyone? I think
assets are at
Yeah,
a corporate level.
Pankaj, tell me.
Assets are yeah, I'm saying assets are always maintained at a company level and their depreciation is tracked by the location or cost center.
Yeah, assets maintained company level. Yes, when you talk about operating, it's also those also will point to the company only, right?
Well, operating unit could be different business unit under one umbrella of a company.
Correct.
Which is the primary ledger.
Yeah, if you see that the business, you can see in many scenarios they'll maintain the assets also operating at level. You have to do the solution for that.
Segregation of data.
Segregation of data, yes. More than that, the actual point is here when you look at, you can mute, somebody is unmuted. The fundamental reason is when you look at operating it, it's all about their core business transactions. When you talk about assets, that is not related to their business transactions data, which is internal. So operating at level, you take payables, you'll be dealing with your suppliers. You take receivables, you'll deal with your customers. Even purchasing also, all the purchasing equation, all you'll be dealing with your suppliers, and OEM also your customers. Project costing, billing, all these will be dealing, okay, with your customers or suppliers, with other areas of stakeholders and all, will be reason for your business. But when you talk about fixed assets, when you are running this complete show to run the organization, so we require assets. So that is the reason that falls into internal, okay, not external transactions and data. That's the reason they just mapped at primary ledger level. Okay, so that's what Oracle says.
Lakshman, this is Murali. Is it something like to report the assets in the balance sheet? That's why it is a ledger level.
No, see that.
Awesome.
Not for that reason. Not for that reason. That is not kind of it. There won't be any impact with the external transactions. It's all about internal, right? So that's all about internal information. That is the reason you no need to map at specific OU as a separate operations and all, separate tracking and all. That's the reason that is belongs to your organization. That's the reason you'll be mapping with your ledger. So that is completely data is different from your business transactions data. Do you treat calculating depreciation as a business transaction? Do you treat comparing the asset as a business transaction? No. There won't be other parties' interest. That's only your interest under the current situation. That is the reason they maintain separately. That's the reason they mapped at primary ledger level. Okay, where that has to be processed and that should be bring into the primary ledger for reporting purpose. That's all. Fine, done. Now, any questions here to understand these elements, the naming conventions or etc. What are the points we discussed? We talk about enterprise. There is one more point. I don't say that is important, since Oracle says not important. We'll discuss. We'll include that. Before that, by comparing this EBS multi-arc structure here, any points you want to understand in terms of comparison and anything, any clarification required, please. Any questions here, please? As of now,
Lakshmi,
enterprise top level.
do you have the same MOAC concept in Fusion as well?
That's a different, right? That is totally different. That doesn't falls under multi-arc structure also in EBS. That is one of the future.
Right. But
That
is
we
that
have.
same
For your,
does it exist in Fusion as
to
well?
answer your question, the answer is yes.
Okay.
So that functionality they given based on the business requirement, right? When you look at EBS, here MOAC, no MOAC, right? EBS are 11i. It's not applicable. They noticed there is a requirement from the clients to have a such kind of solution, so they introduced in release 12. Release 12 we have the same. It's the same available in Fusion also. Fine.
What is available?
Sorry,
We are talking about?
Sharon, what's your question?
Are we talking about MOAC?
Yeah, MOAC. Yes, exactly. Multi-org access control. There was some question from participant. Do we have MOAC in Fusion? I said yes. However, we have in EBS R12. We have in the Fusion also. As we know, we don't have in 11i, right? This is the point we are discussing. Yeah. Fine, done. So in Fusion, apart from this, so enterprise we have, you can just mute from your end. I could hear some noise, please. Please take as request and remember, and please do it. Fine. So we just compared everything, more or less similar. Here naming convention changed. Here nothing is changed. Here BZ, you can create multiple business groups in EBS. Fusion, only one enterprise in our fresh environment, which we call as production or any environment. Okay, so and on request, Oracle can allow you in the test environment to create more than one enterprise just for testing purpose if they are facilitating that for multiple organization purpose. That is just, it falls into testing that we know to take as reality. We have to take into consideration in your client instance, fresh instance, when you start with the implementation for your one client, you'll have one enterprise. That's all. Under that enterprise, as a part of HCM solution, you will have a complete data segregation country wise, how you want to manage your employees information, how you want to manage payroll information. For this few definitions we should do as a mandatory when you work on finance also, that will be covering. Say we have a legislative data group, LDZ, which you should create as a part of HCM, which will point to specific country payrolls. If you don't create that, you cannot utilize your legal entity, because when you create employee, system should understand this employee is employed by which legal entity, and that employee falls under which country payroll. That has to be understood by system. For that reason, we have to do some setups also. So before we go and create employee user in the system, we'll do that setups which are mandatory. Even if you don't implement HCM also, that setup is mandatory. We have to do it. Even if your client is not going to subscribe HCM, you are going to implement only financial, still we get that shared service kind of tasks. That functionality will be available by default, even if you subscribe one specific offering which is not HCM related. Those are common information, common definitions. Employee definition is very generic. Just basic employee definition, they will allow you even if you don't have subscription for HCM application. Fine. So now here, let me add one more point. So I'll take enterprise here. 1 second. Yeah, no issues here. We can take it. Sorry. Fine. Really sorry for all these tasks. We have to take right. Fine. Fine. This just we are mapping with this, right? Primary ledger with a primary ledger. LE with LE. But the term, when you see some field names and all, most of the places you see legal entity. Instead of legal entity, you see legal employer. Nothing but legal entity. Who who's the having rights for employment legally? That is employer legal. This is how just we do. And say your client is doing the business globally. When client is doing the business globally, there could be some requirement where they want to have some managerial reporting, or they want to see some profitabilities, etc., with some logical segregation of your business. You take simple example. Let's go with some reason segregation for your business. Your client is doing the business in say more than 100 countries or 180, 190 countries. So in that case, you may segregate your global business into different regions. So it may be say APAC. When you say APAC, it's Asia Pacific, right? We know it's India, Australia, many other countries will falls under that. And they may have another region called as EMEA. EMEA. It's all about Europe countries and Africa, Middle East, and other EMEA. It's all about again here within this India also fall into this segregation of regions, India, Middle East, and Africa countries again. So including India here. Otherwise, Middle East, Africa, including Europe, EMEA. This IMEA, it's including except no Europe, India, Middle East, and Africa. So you say you may segregate. For example, you are segregating your business. Okay. When you are segregating your business, or else here you can go with segregation of America here, other region here. So these are the three segregation. These are the different geographies you are running the business. So these three geographies you can bring into the system. You can define the system very high level as a divisions. APAC division. Okay. You can define as a APAC division, EMEA division, and America division. This is the one case where you can go with a division. So if this is a scenario, you can just adapt concept called as division. Or else say when you are running business global, you may go with this kind of division segregation. For you will be divisioning. You will be segregating your total geography business operations. If not that, you may run the business in one country or multiple countries. So let's take one country only. You are running the business in US only. So you are into different vertical of businesses. You are into automobiles. You are into telecommunications. You are into software services, and you are into some BPO services. So you are running the four verticals of businesses. So in this case also we have a option of taking these four as a four divisions into system. Automobiles division, telecommunications division, and the software division, and BPO services division. We know very well when we are designing the chart of accounts, depending on the requirement, if client has a global chart of account design, if client is going to have a global chart of accounts, in that case, since all countries will be using the same chart of accounts, you can have one segment called as a division. These you can have as a values into that segment. or else you are using one chart of account that may be global or it could be local. You can have a segment called as division. Within that, say you are running business only in US, so you are into this vertical of businesses, you can create one segment called as division within your chart of account, and you can have these 4 values. So that means division you can represent based on geographies, classification, or the line of businesses or verticals of businesses you are into. So now in Fusion they give an option. Division can be created as a part of your enterprise structure. For reality, we don't see that usage in any implementation. Here you can bring the division concept. So between enterprise and the primary ledgers, they introduce the division concept, which is 100% optional. The rest what we discussed all are mandatory. Even in reality, you may not have real inventory, but at least dummy inventory you have to create. Otherwise, you cannot run the show within the application to record the transactions. First, you cannot complete the setups. They given the division as optional. I have seen many implementations. I didn't see no client is decided to go division as a part of enterprise structure, and normally we suggest to have a division as a part of chart of accounts if they want to capture the transaction division level. If you have division at chart of account level, that will enable the accounting division level. You will be able to track the transactions division. You can do the reporting, which we may treat as a managerial reporting. And if you don't have division as a part of chart of accounts, still if you want to have division as a part of enterprise structure, you cannot take the advantage of financial reporting and all or managerial reporting. Only this would be lying in the structure, maybe for the other purposes. Maybe this can be used maybe as HCM side will create the hierarchies, organization hierarchies, maybe there to represent in the better way that division may be useful. Otherwise, we know very well the projects. When you deal with the projects in EBS or Fusion, we just create the projects, organization structures and all. In that case, you may utilize, or some other applications, you may use this division concept, which cannot have any financial impact if the division is not going to have if you are not going to have a division as a chart of accounts segment. You have a division just as a part of enterprise structure. You don't have a division as a part of primary ledger, chart of accounts. No impact related to financial transactions. You have division as a part of your chart of accounts. You don't have division as a part of your enterprise. You are not going to lose anything. Just you may lose the representation of division when you represent your enterprise structure as per, we can create the enterprise structure hierarchies as per HRMS and projects, etc. Right? There the value may be missing. There, if you think that is required, you can do it. Really, this is required at structure level. Same time, definitely it's required financial tracking also. Have a segment as a division within our chart of accounts. So this is the point we have to understand. Finally, Oracle made it as an optional. In my experience, I have seen many implementation projects which are happening and which are already happened. The two scenarios I never seen. So no client is using division as a part of their enterprise structure. Any questions here, please?
So, Lakshman, so if you are implementing PPM, you have to have a division, you mean to say? Is my understanding correct?
What you said?
Suppose you are implementing projects or PPM.
PPM, yes.
So which is nothing but projects.
Correct.
So their division is needed?
No, not required. See, so to represent how your expenditure organization hierarchy looks like, how your task organization hierarchy, okay, so task owning organization hierarchy will work, right? We in projects we have all these, right?
Exactly.
Expenditure owning or expenditure organization, task owning organization, right? So these organizations, when you are going to manage, those are falling under which division and all. If you have that sort of business modeling in your process, in that case it may be required. Otherwise, reality it's not required. Division is not required anywhere as a part of standard configuration and processes. If required to use in that process, they may include division, otherwise they can ignore. But you may have a division as a part of your enterprise if you are not going to have as a part of chart of accounts. No use as a part of accounting. There is no financial impact. If you have a division without having in chart of account, the reason may be you want to use that element to define the hierarchies for your HCM and PPM purpose. If required, not mandatory in HCM or PPM, the divisions and all. Okay, so organization concept we have in HCM. The PeopleSoft, if you want to use, first you have to have a hierarchies, organization, those only you can bring into that hierarchy definition. That's how we'll use it. That area of solution, if required, we may include as a part of that, otherwise not required. Finance point of view, if you want to take the advantage of division segregation of data and any reporting, manual reporting, that you should include as a part of chart of account, which will be part of your primary ledger. That's it. So finally, optional, you don't see normally in for so and so implement, you go and check it. If anybody implemented Fusion, you don't see division. That's completely optional. Any questions on this, please? Finally, this is the enterprise structure we have in the Fusion. This is what we have to understand. So we know very well multi-org structure in EBS. Now how the same we have in Fusion, this is how we have. Here we don't have something to map with EBS. This is new unit, we can say. Any questions here, please? Any questions from anyone? If no questions, we will wind up.
So, Lakshman, last question. When you are defining operating unit, you told there are 3 elements to decides that one. That is transaction control, data security.
I didn't get you. When we create operating unit in EBS, what is your question?
Those 3 elements, that transaction control, data security, reporting is needed. So what is this transaction control? Can you just throw some light over there?
You know, right? You know EBS, right?
Yeah. So I know transaction control in project side. What is this? I have never heard of.
Don't understand the point whether we have seen with the same title in the application or not. It's overall understanding which we should get. You set up payable options, right? Payable options, what level you set in the payables in EBS, R12 or 11i? What level you set? If you cannot answer, it will
operating unit level.
Yeah, somebody's answered. Murali is answering.
Yeah. Those are subledgers. All the subledgers have the operating unit.
Those points. Nobody will agree. Please don't mind. Nobody will agree.
No, I don't mind. So that is the transactions are segregated by operating unit level.
Yeah, my
question
is financial options. What level we set? That is my question. The normally expected answer from anyone should give as operating unit level.
OU level, yeah.
When you set the financial payable options, operating unit level, you can set the controls, right?
Yeah.
This operating unit invoices can be validated. In this operating unit, with a prior date, payments can be issued. In this operating unit, the approval should work. This is all we call as transaction controls, which would be specific to OU. In the finance payable options, what are the controls you see? Those are specific to OU. Those we call as the transaction controls. I can include one more point. Along with the controls, we can set the defaults also.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
That is a meaning of transaction control. You can control the transaction process for the specific operating net if you have operating net. Otherwise, you cannot.
Exactly.
Yes. Fine. Any other questions, please? Fine. I think we are good with all this information. So in tomorrow's session, we'll start with the these definitions. I'll take you through the enterprise and we'll create the, already our primary ledger legal entities are ready. Business unit will create and we'll start with the payable setups. Division is simple definition. I'll show you just a simple task. Okay, it's optional. I'll show you that. And there is another way of creating the division and entire enterprise structure that we'll see later stage. But now how normal process we follow to do the setups, I'll take you through that. Once we complete after completing the payable setups are up to certain level, I'll show you the same setups what we are doing through manual process. Okay, so the same setups how to simply load into the application. I'll show you through wrapped implementation. Okay, we'll cover that. If any time if this instance is going to get refreshed, here refreshing means setups will be removed. So if it is going to get refreshed, you'll have option of doing all these setups without taking more than 10 to 15 minutes time. You can keep that spreadsheet ready and you can load it. Setups will be ready. And next time, anytime if you see instances get refreshed again, sheet ready, again submit, setups will be ready. That's how you can simplify the configuration solution when you practice. Okay, any questions from anyone, please? No questions, we'll wind up.
Lakshman, this is Murli. One question. Is there any schedule that particular day in a month this will be rescheduled? It will be like a cloning or refresh happens or something we can be.
I'll intimate once that is planned. I'll let you know. No issues.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lakshman. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Hey, Lakshman, do you plan to have class on Monday? We have a long weekend.
You guys can decide it. You let me know now.
I'm here on the East Coast. I'm okay if the class is not there.
Let me hear.
Lakshman.
Yeah. Who are not okay?
Lakshman, that's
Tell me who are not okay. If I see 4 or 5 members, I may request you all to take break on the day. Who are not okay?
It's a long weekend in the US. Definitely, not having class would be better.
Okay.
We'll have travel.
Okay, fine. Then that statement is enough to understand. So we have 50% of participants from US, basically from India. So we'll cancel the class on Monday. Okay. Anyway, tomorrow we have class. We'll have a no class on Monday, and I'll be circulating the email also tomorrow.
Thanks, Lakshman.
That is fine with everyone. So you may practice, you may utilize the time if you think.
Hey Lakshman.
Yeah.
I don't have access for the drive where they're placing the recordings. Can you provide me access?
I think yesterday also you raised the same point. I just told that 1 second. So really sorry.
I'm not able to practice actually. Sandhya.
Yeah. What is this? Fine. I'll do it. Just once I end this meeting, immediately I'll do that task. Yeah. You need drive access.
Thank you.
Current batch, right? A batch which you are attending or previous batch.
No, I'm in the current batch only.
Okay, fine.
I did not attend.
I'll do that. Fine. Any other questions? Please, if you, I'm getting a lot of background noise from our Pradeep or 2, 3 guys are Veer. I'm not sure from whose end we are getting that. Anyway, any questions from anyone, please? If no questions, we're done for today. You may drop from the meeting. I'll be available for 10 more minutes in the meeting. If you have any questions, you can stay back and you can ask me.